Awesome. So I've got awesome Phil Better here today. Welcome to another episode of Price on Purpose.
I thought you were going to forget your name for a second. You're like,
I
what's
usually
the name of
do.
this podcast?
It was that moment where I'm like, should I do an intro now or should I just record it later?
Record it later.
Record it later.
We're wasting time.
Yeah,
we got so much to talk about.
Yeah, we
I don't
do.
even know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff because I actually met. How did we meet? Was it through Maria or?
Yeah, so I was a guest on Maria's podcast, Chaotic Successful. One of her main.
Chaotic. Yes.
There we go. I don't know. She has like 25,000 podcasts. I don't know with her. I'm getting into the point where I'm having as many as her, and I'm losing track. But I was a guest on one of hers, just me and her. Then she brought me on to a panel show, I think, and you were on it, and that's how we met. And then you're like, you're fucking genius, which of course.
Yeah, because we were doing you were on Spontaneity.
Yeah, Spontaneity. There we go.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And then was that the episode that I built the podcast for one of the panelists, or was that another episode that I was on?
It probably was another episode because she also has Business Acceleration Playbook, which is probably how you met Ray.
Yeah, it possibly. I don't know. There's
something
just so
of
many
the sorts. Yeah.
All we know is Maria was the core person that put us in together.
Yes.
That's all we know.
And I loved your personality. And you told me that you were actually going through a similar transition of leaving an employer to go off on your own and start your own business. So if you can, tell me a little bit about what you do.
Okay. So for your audience that doesn't know me, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Phil Better. I am the quote unquote podcast mogul. The reason why I call myself the podcast mogul goes back to Ja Rule. And I had watched the Fire Festival documentary on Netflix, and he called himself a musical mogul. And I'm like, I haven't heard from him since the Fire Festival. Like I heard him in the early 2000s. I'm like, yeah, if he called himself then, yeah, it would be. But now he's dropped off the face of the earth. And then all of a sudden he's calling himself a music mogul. I'm like, if he can call himself a mogul, so can I.
Yeah.
So I called myself the podcast mogul. I have no idea what it means. I just assume that it's because I have so many podcasts. That's why I'm a mogul. And that's what I'm going with. But I podcast, I produce, I coach, I guess I do so much with podcasts. I just love podcasting. It's one of my passions. I started podcasting 6 years ago with the Phil Better Show. Burnt out in 2020. Actually, 2019 started the burnout, but 2020 was the official burnout, if you will. And then at the end of 2020, throughout the whole 2020, I was like, I need to figure out how to make money. Using the internet. I used the time, my burnout was 2 months. Just like I deep dived on YouTube. YouTube University is your best friend and your worst enemy.
Yeah.
I just started looking at different ways with t-shirts, like print on demand, drop shipping, affiliate marketing, all these other things, agency works. And I'm like, I don't know what works. And I've been trying. And then finally, I'm like, I've never been an entrepreneur in my life. I don't know entrepreneurs. Which, funny enough, I actually do know entrepreneurs. I'm just an idiot and I don't realize it. It's true.
You're like, oh wait, you do have a business.
Well,
that's what an entrepreneur. Oh,
that's what it is. Like I didn't realize. Like I thought an entrepreneur just like made money.
Yeah.
And, like a business owner, he's a business owner. He's not an entrepreneur, or she, or they, or whatever they want to be called these days.
Right.
So like for me, it didn't connect that an entrepreneur becomes a business owner, but an entrepreneur also can be a multiple business owner. So that like for me, I was like, oh, I know a lot of those people, but it took me like 2 months to figure it out. So at the end of 2020, October, I started reaching out to entrepreneurs that I've met in groups. And I was like, I'm doing a new show. It's about entrepreneurs. I really would love you to be on it. Started recording in November for a December 1st release. So I figured out my 30-day plan. Didn't write it down because I was an idiot. Launched the podcast but here's the thing. I started recording some of the episodes in November and in December.
Okay.
And I started as the season rolled out, I was like playing catch up with myself, trying to get recordings done, but also put out content.
Oh my God, I know that feeling.
And
Jeez.
when you're working a 9-to-5 job,
yeah, it's tough. It's tough to balance.
So from November of last year to March of this year, my day would look like 9 to 5, 30-minute break for me to breathe, pee, get dressed, get ready. Then from 5:30 to about 10:30, podcasting, hardcore podcasting for 2 weeks straight. I did that. And pretty much every other week I would be doing something like that, launching a podcast, helping coaching or something like that. I would be like, and you would just like, oh, you die. Like 2 weeks straight of 5 podcasts. Cause my Invest in Yourself podcast has 21 episodes, 21 interviews. I picked 21. I don't know why. Honestly, I couldn't tell you to save my life, but it has an intro and an outro. So it ends up being 23 episodes of a season. And so as I'm recording season 1, I'm also starting recording season 2 because I want to have I want to get that done.
Like
so
catalog,
I'm like, I have a bit of breathing room because doing like boring work and then podcasting until late and then like resting and then like waking up early and doing all that kills you. So I'm like, if I can get a catalog, I know if I have a backlog, it's easier for me and I can take my time and roll. So I started doing that. So I was recording season 1 and season 2. So they're very similar in style because they were recorded at the same time. And I didn't learn anything yet from it, from listening to feedback. Well, listening to feedback.
Okay, got you.
And then now I have season 4 just finished. I'm rolling out season 3. Season 5 is going to be recording next month for an October release. So I have like every other month, like when a podcast release, I have a month of relaxation and then I record for the following podcast and then it's released a month later. So it's just been crazy busy. So that's I podcast. If brief of everything, I podcast. If you want to monetize your podcast, I can show you at least 3 powerful, I'm putting 3 powerful ways to monetize. Yeah, 3 of them to monetize your podcast.
It's all right.
It's all right. I can show you how to facilitate your guest intake. You know, like I want to show podcasters like this right here is the easiest part of podcasting.
It is
sitting down, talking with a person.
It's all the other stuff.
It's the things that go before and after are the hard stuff. But with my method that I'm showing live on my Facebook every day and in my private group that I have, I'm showing how to build a podcast so that when you start having guests and start putting it in, all you have to do is take the audio, drop it into a box, and the system takes care of it.
Right.
And so that's one, I'm doing it because if I didn't, I would never film it and I would never be able to sell it as a course. So I might as well do it there. But also I'm doing it because I want to show people how much work it is. And it's valuable to pay someone, a producer like myself, to handle all that so that you don't have to. Most of my clients, that's what they do. My client, I signed a client a couple of weeks ago who's in Macedonia. He just launched his podcast. One of his podcasts is we're calling it a thought leader podcast, where it's just him sharing his knowledge. He also has a new one that's going to be rolling out a little later. He wants to get a bit more buffer, if you will, for his business, which is a Bisbee business. And it's a lead gen for high net worth, high ticket clients. So 10K plus people. And he helps them he generates leads for them. And so that one was going to be that one talks about industry experts in different fields and he actually became a client of mine because of my podcast. And so I also teach people how it doesn't matter how many downloads you get, you can still make money off podcasting by offering a service. So that's what I do with Invest in Yourself. I don't really care about my download numbers for that podcast because as long as every season brings me 1 client, I'm happy. And so far, all 3 seasons
the investment turning around into revenue. So what I'm gathering, so you have multiple podcasts. You also teach people how to monetize them. Yeah.
Not only monetize, how to start podcasts, anything you need
from start to finish. If
you need help getting guests, I can show you the fastest, easiest way to get guests. If you have problems setting up and figuring out what your podcast is going to be about, I got I got documents coming out of my wazoo with that stuff.
Wicked.
If you need help how to distribute, how to promote on after your podcast is out, I got you there. I know how to do it.
Wicked.
I'm building an email list for another private group that I'm another client I have 50K members, and they've never monetized the group.
Right.
And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You have 50,000 potential clients.
We don't even know. But I wanted to actually discuss something with you, because the thing is, you got here somehow, some way, right? I want to know about how you got here. So I'll ask something a little bit more specific. So
I need a bit more specifics on where here is, because here can be like, how did you get to Montreal? I was born here. How did you get on the internet? I paid someone to give me internet access.
Yes. So you are in, I say Canada, but it's not actually, it's just something I say. But
so
you're in Montreal. That's where you live.
I live in Montreal, Canada. You can say Canada. There's actual town in Ontario called Canada. I have family out there.
Get out, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. Canada is Kanata, I believe, and it comes from what. So when people found out what Canada was from our First Nations, it actually meant like rivers, I think, or like land. So that's how they named Canada. They're like, it's a native word called Canada because that's what they call this land, when it actually means, no, it means river.
Got it.
But Europeans, they're stupid when they don't learn another language back then anyways.
No worries. So a little tips and tricks for learning.
Tips and tricks with Phil. Well, no one knows our history except for Canadians, and it's a really shame. Like, everybody knows the US history, like 1776, you guys decided to say F you Britain, we're moving on our own, and then history.
Well, that's part of why I like to have you here, because there's a lot of things that I don't know, and one of the things that I do want to know is, so how did you transition into leaving your job? Because a lot of people have dreams, especially now. I think it's more apparent now with in society, of being an entrepreneur. And it's funny because I didn't share this with a lot of people, but I said, what would the world be if everybody had their own business? Like, would that work? And I said, yes, it would, because everybody has to get something from somewhere, and everybody needs help with something. We can't move on our own and by ourselves to get from point A to point B. You need help. So how did you get to this point where you're able to transition? But I'm sorry, before I even get to that, why, or what was it in you that realized that you could? Like, how did you find that in you to be like, you know what, I can actually make X into a business? What was that moment like for you?
When I got my first client. So the first episode of Invest in Yourself, I had Donnie Bovin and this amazing guy. And I just chatted with him, and he's like, you got this. You know how to make a podcast. You've been doing it for so long. Why don't? And I was like, you know what? Maybe I will. So I started interviewing people, and I got my first client, Lloyd Ross. Amazing guy. He's like I consider him my rich cousin. Because he learned from the Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I just never understood, because it was like, you have to invest in houses, and I'm like, I don't have the money to do that.
Right.
But he took it and he put it in a different way, and he planted money trees. That's his thing. He plants money trees. His book is called Money Grows on Trees, and he was like, hey, do you want to help me get on other podcasts? I'm like, for sure. And if ever you want to start a podcast, let me know. And that's how I end every episode of my thing off air. I go, hey, if ever you're thinking about it, I help grow podcasts, let me know. And they're like, yeah, sure. Boom. I get him on about 5 podcasts. I think I got him on Maria's, Mick, and a couple others. And he comes back, he's like, holy shit, yes, let's start a podcast. I love this. And I'm like, all right, this is what I need. This is what I do. And so we haggled back and forth because it was my first business. I didn't know what to charge. And now I know what to charge, obviously. We worked, got him into the top 10 of Australia, New Zealand, and Latvia, surprisingly. I had no idea. He's actually number 2 in Latvia. He's number 9 in Australia, and number 4 in New Zealand. And that's, well, Australia and New Zealand is his demographic because that's where he's from. He's from Australia. But we ended up getting him on those things. And I'm like, holy moly, jumping Jehoshaphat, eh? No, that's very Canadian, by the way. Jumping Jehoshaphat. I have no idea where that comes from, and I'm scared to look it up because it could be crazy. But he gets up there and he's like, oh my God. And now he's getting on like Fraser. I can't remember the guy's name, but Fraser someone, this huge network marketing guy whose podcast is like in the top 10 of the world for like education stuff. Like he's getting on these podcasts. He's also introducing me to other amazing rich entrepreneurs, right? Because he's a millionaire from investing in his business. And so I get a masterclass every time he sends me 4 episodes, because I just sit down for an hour and just like, oh my God, this is magic. Do a couple edits. But I trained him. So this is the best part of my job. In all honesty, I shouldn't really have a job as a podcast producer because it's so simple. Why not? Okay, putting an episode together is super freaking simple to do.
To you.
True.
That's the thing, because that's what I had to realize. Somebody would be like, oh, I want to start this podcast. I'm like, so start it. Right? That's our response. Just start it. How do I do it? Just do the RSS feed, start recording and then put it up there. But how? What do you mean? You know what I mean? But that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, because a lot of the things that you individually find easy, another person finds difficult. Yeah. And that's how a business starts. You know what I mean? One person says, it's easy to get books. I got access to all these books. And they say, you know what? Now we're going to put it online. And boom, you have Amazon. Oh my God, Amazon, A to Z. How did that, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So that's the thing. Like what you find easy, another person finds difficult. But this is what I wanted to get at, because a lot of people work a 9 to 5. A lot of people feel like there's no way to leave that. Because what they feel like, what we've always been taught is, before you leave one job, you need another. And in a sense, yes, that's absolutely realistic. But if you got a little bit of cash, you got a little bit of something, you can move things around. You know what I heard the other day? I was listening to Eric. What did you hear? So I was listening to this speaker that I actually, I got all these digital mentors, just like how you say YouTube University. I use that terminology too. And
I wish I could get a degree from YouTube. That would be just awesome.
They're probably working. I mean, technically you can, but it's not in whatever thing.
It's in Google or something.
It's in YouTube, and you're like, But actually, I got something else to maybe speak to you about later. But anyway, so it's like, oh no, okay.
Write it down. So you don't forget.
It's like,
I have a pad and paper with me all the time, just in case.
You should see what my desk looks like. And what my wall looks like. This is ridiculous.
This is random. This is my meetings with my clients. These are my episode notes from my show. What's this one? Oh, this is random business ideas I have.
Nice. Actually, I love that you have it like in separate books. That's actually pretty cool.
I have a pad of paper just for random shit.
Yes.
That any ideas, and then at the end of the week, I go, okay, where do these papers belong? Then I have my notebook for my daily journal, because I daily journal now. I just learned that.
Nice.
I have another book for my other podcasts, and it's just like, and trying to keep track of all the books is the biggest issue. It's like, I have this idea. So this is the business idea is the one that's the most like wrinkled, because all my ideas pretty much go in there. It's not just random business ideas, but it's like,
dope that you write it down.
Like this could be a business idea. Nearly any idea you have can be a business. It's just how developed you want to make it.
Yes.
So that's why. And I also give a tip to all podcasters. Have a pad and paper. Have a book beside you, and inside, timestamp. All my podcasts that I do, I have timestamp.
That's what my journal looks like.
My journal's even worse. I have chicken scratch writing. I have doctor writing. I should have been a doctor. I would have passed. I probably could write. Just give me a pad. I just scribble something. And I'm like, oh yes, you're having oxycodone for 500 milligrams of oxycodone. Sure, no problem.
Yeah, scribble.
That's why my friends who are doctors don't let me near their offices.
Oh my God.
I kid.
Weed subscription now. You good now.
What kind of medicine do you need? Sure. Scribble. That looks right. No, you don't. in reality, like once I got my first client, I was like, I can make money online. I got my second client. I'm like, I seriously can make money online. Got my third client. I'm like, I'm done. Peace out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it is, because I know I now know how I can get clients. I know how to make money online. There's thousands of programs outlined for free or for a couple of dollars that will teach you how to scale your business even more. And look, the internet is a level playing field. Before, if you wanted to start a business, you needed at least 100K in capital, because you had to pay rent, you had equipment, you had this, you had that, you had to show the bank that you had money. Now the internet is $15.99 and you got a fucking domain. And even now, you don't even need a website to create a business anymore.
There's so many places that you can have the ability to monetize or just reach out to your people. And what I'm getting at is like, you know, you had a mindset where you're like, okay, like that's why I like that you shared that you started out with you started out with some level of belief and trust in yourself, even if it wasn't 100%. You started out with some type of percentage in that avenue to do it, because what a lot of people get stuck at is that analysis paralysis term that I like to use from Rich Roll, where it's like you're just thinking about it. I even still have those moments where I'm just thinking about it and I'm thinking about it.
Look, I still have it. I can guarantee you everybody else still has it.
Right.
The first like 2 years of being an entrepreneur, you're going to be questioning every single decision you make until you have that revenue that just continue to roll in.
Right.
Once you have that passive, I'm going to call it passive. It's not passive, but there's no such thing as passive income, ladies and gentlemen. You work really hard and then it can make you money in the long term, and then you divvy up the hours. But you have that kind of recurring income that just comes in and you're like, okay, good. I got a safety net, you know, and now I can go, I'm like, oh, I can breathe, you know, you stop questioning yourself. Like right now, I work on I need to find clients because I don't have that recurring income, but I'm in the process of building everything now so that I have that recurring income. Like I'm going to announce now, I don't know when this show is going out, but I'm going to be doing a $15, because I usually charge $100 for coaching. So I'm charging $15 an hour of my time, and you get to learn 3 different methods of monetization. And then I even go a little bit further into it, but I'm starting that now because it's like, hey, that can be a revenue generating, and I just have to record it and then I just leave it up there and it just funnel in money that way, you know? So there's that going. I'm doing my live course. I'm literally building a podcast live on air for people to watch so that they can learn how to do it. This is week 2.
Is that the show you're doing today?
Yeah. Or? Every day, every Monday to Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for at least 30 minutes. I am live on my Facebook and as well in my private group called Better Podcasting Growth Group. And it's just me doing the exact same thing. I'm building the podcast while I'm actually doing the podcast.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's like very meta.
Like think about it. Like how many people are doing that? Like
I don't know anybody.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people are stuck thinking about what they want to do and how they want to do it. And there's little to no action in the actual action realm. And that's the difference between, say, somebody like you that is able to now have that ability to leave their employer and like, you know what I mean? Like you have that ability where you just took action. That's literally the only difference. And not just any type of action. It does have to be action in a specific direction.
Yeah.
But you took action in some way. And that's the thing. Like a lot of people have these things that they do every day and they don't realize that it could be a business. Like some people just like to paint and they do it for therapy, but somebody would actually buy their painting, but they don't actually believe that somebody would buy their painting. And that's the issue. That it's like the belief, it's like we're speaking into existence, this can never happen. And we operate out of that frequency and we keep everything to ourselves. The difference is that you are like, oh, I got a client. Well, let's go get another one. Another one after that. Another one after that. You just kind of keep going. So like you're literally trusting in that gut instinct now. How well, if you don't mind me asking,
I'm still scared shitless, by the way.
Right.
I'm
Right.
scared shitless 24/7 because
Right.
I have imposter syndrome. So in my life,
Excuse me.
I've been a people pleaser my whole life.
Oh my
And when you're a
God, you're just
people,
like me.
yeah, when you're a people pleaser,
Yeah.
whenever you start talking about stuff you've done, it sounds like you're bragging, and you're like, I don't want to brag.
Yeah.
But then also you have imposter syndrome that someone's going to come by and be like, you know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah, like somebody's gonna like. There's gonna be a quick pop quiz, and you're gonna like fail. And you're like, I gotta start from zero.
I fail pop quizzes all the time, no matter how prepared I am. But here's the thing: I'm scared someone's going to come by and go, "You don't know what you're talking about. You did nothing, you know."
So
and it's
weird.
like, "No, I did. Look, I did this and this and this," and they're like, "No, man, you're lying." And then everybody believes them, and I'm like, "Oh." So I'm scared shitless every day. But instead of using that fear to stop me from moving forward, I'm like, I'm going to prove it wrong. I'm going to prove that when someone comes in and goes, hey, you don't know what you're talking about, I go, look at this.
Yeah.
I have this nice long list of things, you know, like,
it's okay to be confident. It's okay to believe in yourself. You know what I mean?
And it takes a bit. Like, I think a lot of people in society, the people who are like that outgoing, or are these entrepreneurs, a lot of them already had the self-confidence in themselves, and they believe, and these are the ones that like have been doing entrepreneurship like when they turned 18. Like they had that self-belief, they were built up, and they're like, yeah, I can do this, I can do anything I put my mind to. You know, they're those crazy people. And then you have people like us who are people pleaser going, yeah, we have a bit of confidence because we know what we know, but we're not confident enough to put ourselves out there in the world because it's like, oh, the scary world. And we've been told our whole lives, you know, mom and dad have been telling us, can't be careful out there. There are some mean people. And so far, I've only found one mean person out of the like 1,000 friends I have on Facebook. And I disconnected from him because don't need him in my life.
Right.
But my biggest message is, look, it took me a while to get to where I am, and I'm not even half, like, I haven't even started, you know, because I've seen other people like they're blowing up, and I'm like, I'm at 6 years, I'm in this, and it's took me 6 years to get paid. Now people are getting paid within like a month of starting podcasting, and I'm like, God damn you. But at the same time, when I started podcasting, there was no guide, there was nothing, so no one knew how to make money because the generation before. So for me, how I look at podcasting, there's like 4 or 5 generations. You have the original OGs who have been in the game, like when they learned how to create an RSS feed. Like when the RSS feeds were created, they're like, oh, cool, we can use this for audio and drama and blogging and da 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 da. So they figured that out, but they kept their secrets. Like the dark wizards, they kept their secrets. Then you started getting more companies like Lisbon and Blue Apron, not Blue Apron, but other things, kind of making it a little easier for you. Like it's a hosting company. And I kind of came in right around there. And it was just before Serial became popular. The you know, the Serial audio drama or serial killer
I'm not familiar
thing.
with that.
Yeah, it was like, I think maybe it was about 5 years ago, probably. I came in just before them. So I was, I had Lisbon. I'm like, oh, cool. But no one told us how to, in the podcast groups I'm part of, like no one's telling you how to promote yourself properly or do any of the work. People are just posting their links and like, maybe I'll get downloads. So I was like, okay. So I did that for so long, and then the Serial popped up, and I'm like, I'm not going to do a true crime. Screw that. And then you got the true crime people jumping in, and everyone's hoarding their secrets because everybody doesn't want, because no one's thinking like, oh no, if they get popular, I'm going to lose this and that. Not thinking, because the world was a very me place at the time. Then you got the Joe Rogan era, which were kind of a little further in. When Joe Rogan signed that $100 million deal with Spotify, everybody's like, I want a podcast now. And still the older generations, the older classes, if you will, or that, are still kind of hoarding, but also sharing some more, because everybody who was in podcasting before was a hobbyist. No one was a business person.
Right.
When Joe Rogan said, hey, you can make money podcasting. Look, I made 100 mil. A lot of business people were like, how?
Yeah.
And so they started jumping in and started.
They're like, oh, that's a serious thing.
You're not 100 mil
talking about, you know, that's the thing. You know, I knew that podcasting could be monetized because if you think about it, look at radio. I mean, that's part of why I started my show. I wanted to always be on radio, but the avenue to get into radio. You got to know somebody. You got to have a communications degree. You got to blah, 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 blah. I was like, I don't want to do all that. I really don't have the patience for that. I just want to show up. And then when I heard about podcasting, I'm like, that's kind of the same thing. And literally my show started off with just being there to, because, you know, with being an introvert, I wanted to learn how people found their thing, their it thing. Like some people like, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. Like, how did you know you wanted to be that? Like, how did you know? Because at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I just knew I liked radio and the aspect of it. There's something beautiful that happens when two people are communicating about similar things. And then all of a sudden it changed into, which you probably see, I'm doing my rebranding now. I'm like, oh, like people can learn from this. And that's what, you know, currency really is. It's about sharing that knowledge, which is what you have. It's like you have the knowledge of doing or how to start a podcast. You sell that now. You have the ability to sell that. And, you know, it's kind of like this discussion I was watching yesterday with Gary Vee. You're familiar with him, yeah?
Oh, I love Gary Vee. I'm a big Gary Vee fan.
You know, the way it's the way he puts things into his perspective, it makes it very, very clear. And he's like, look, we're going to get into a society where it's not going to be like, you know, find me a lawyer or find me a doctor. It's going to be find me Phil Better or find me, you know, so-and-so. It's going to be by name. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want social media and I don't want this. And it's not that you need to be on every social media. You just need to be there so that your name can get into like Alexa or Siri or things like that. And that's the society we're moving into. But, you know, it does take some level of belief. It does.
Oh, yeah.
But what you also hinted on, what I like, is it's not only the belief aspect, because you're not going to be 110% on everything. It's being okay with being 50% on it, but trying it anyway. And thinking, like, there's this awesome book that I started reading. I'm actually almost done with it. It's called Thinking in Bets. It's by, I think her name is Annie Duke. Hope that's her name. That would be really sucky if I...
Hold on. Here, I'm gonna save you some.
Thinking in Bets. It's how to make... It's I think it's by Annie Duke. Duke.
Thinking in Bets. It's there we go. It's Annie Duke. Yeah.
Yep.
I got it.
Yes, I did it right
it's like
this time.
It's like an orangey red cover.
Yes.
With like a flow chart type deal.
Yeah. So
yeah, I got it here.
Long story short, what her book is about is not only how to speak to yourself when or if you're wrong about the outcome, but also just knowing that there's sometimes you're going to have to make a decision when you don't have all the facts, which is kind of like what we all do as an entrepreneur. It's like, okay.
Well, we technically do that in our day to day.
Yes.
If you go down to it, if you break down to it, let's take entrepreneurship, business owner, everything out. When I go out my door, I have no info on what it's going. I can tell, okay, it's a nice day. I can get the weather, I can get that informed, but I don't know if I'm going to walk out and get hit by a bus.
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to walk out and get mugged. I don't know if I'm going to walk out and win the lotto, because the beautiful woman that I'm always wanted, it just walks by and go, hey, I know you. I want to have sex with you.
Can you imagine?
I would, if that happened, like I'm knocking on wood, you know, if that actually happened,
law of attraction.
You know, law of attraction, Super Saiyan mode type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that happened, I would just be like, I need a lotto ticket now.
Yeah.
Just like now. Just give me a lotto ticket. Today's the luckiest day of my life.
Right.
But yeah, you don't have all the answers to everything that's going on. So you don't know what the day is going to bring you. Same thing with an entrepreneur. I don't know what my day is going to bring me. My day could bring me a $10 million contract. It could bring me a $5 contract. I don't know. Obviously, I hope not the $5, more towards the 10 mil. But again, you don't know what you're going to get in every day. So you need to just relax and enjoy the process. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. There's going to be a lot of tests. And, you know, something I read in Think and Grow Rich, a great book. I'm doing my first read through. Is first time I've read it, and I'm like, I wish I read this earlier, but I don't think I would have appreciated it at the time.
Exactly. That's what's in the book, that thought. You see, it's like, I wish I read it before. It's like, it's brought to you now for a reason.
Yeah. So Think and Grow Rich, it's on the basis of what you put out into the universe, you'll get back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really in the power of thought.
Yes.
Power. Because the human brain, like, look, the human brain is super powerful. If you think about it, it's the only organ that has named itself.
Mm-hmm.
Every other organ gets named by who? The brain. It's the main central thing. And you start noticing patterns. The brain loves patterns. So you start noticing patterns really easy. And something it says is like things in your life, like life will test you.
Yes.
Its job is to test you. And once you've passed its test, you have a choice. You either can quit or you can continue through.
Right.
And if you continue through, at a moment that life's going to be like, all right, you passed. Here you go. And then all of a sudden, untold wealth, you know, if that's what you want, or love, or, you know, family, or building, or whatever you want, like whatever your passion, your drive, your dedication is, if you focus solely on that and just put all your desires and your passions into this one thing, and you just focus and you go, this is what I want. You write it out, you believe it, you say it in the morning, you say it at night, you just go, this is what I want, this is what I want. And you just go, now what can I do to make this happen?
Right.
I wanted to be an entrepreneur. What did I do? I worked backwards. What is an entrepreneur? I have no idea. We need to figure that out. Okay. All right. They own a business. Okay, cool. What kind of business can I do? And I kept working back. And then I figured it out, you know. I was like, okay, I can use a podcasting. Okay, let's start podcasting and moving up. And then it's like, okay, now I can move into digital marketing because I do digital marketing. So I can offer that as a service now. But also I can do video, audio and video editing. Okay. And then I'm going over here, but I'm still down podcasting, but I'm getting these, I'm reaching out to go to my goal. My goal is to make 10K a month. Like I'm not asking for a lot, 10K a month. I'll be happy with, but you're learning all these things by the people, and it's like a tree just growing. So I started with an idea. I knew where I wanted. I wanted a giant oak tree, but you have to start as a seedling.
Little seed. Yeah.
Seed. And you slowly grow, and then you get your branches.
I love that analogy.
Grow, and you grow and you grow, and then all of a sudden before you know it, there's this giant oak tree, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
5 years.
Damn.
It may have taken 5 years. Or like 4 months, like you never know. But here's the thing, people are like, well, I could do this, I could work on my business, or I can go and not work on my business and in 5 years be in the same place. No, in 5 years, if you're working on your business, you will have skills that no one else has, be it podcasting, creating your own rugby league, creating your own book, whatever you want. And if you work 5 years on that sole passionate project, one of two things will happen. One, you'll be 5 years older. Without a doubt, you'll be 5 years older. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to stop the flow of time.
Yeah.
Barring that, the two things that will happen: one, you will either know if you're made for being an entrepreneur or not. Two, you will have developed some amazing skills that someone will want to pay you for because they don't want the time. People are paying me for my 6 years of knowledge. This is why I charge so much. Like my coaching is at $100 because I know not everybody can afford me.
That was your website. I don't think you charge a lot. I think it makes sense for what you're offering. For the
coaching, that's fine. And the coaching is only an hour at $100, but I have my 30-day package that is, I have the done for you package, which is between $2,500 and $3,500, depending on what they want. And for that, it's literally, I have one meeting with you. I figure out what your podcast is going to be about. And then I do everything in the back end that I'm doing live on my show. I set that all up for you, get it all ready for you. And then the next meeting we have, I hand deliver it to you and go, here you go. Now I'm going to teach you all about podcasting. And then it's like 4 meetings and we get them ready to launch. Like they can do daily meetings if they want. Like when you're paying me 3 G's, you can buy out my time. Usually
what is it?
Yeah, you get my phone number, you get my emails. Like I won't give you my address, but you know, maybe for 4 G's you can get my address. So that's what I do, right? For $25 to $3,500,
Right.
I create your podcast for you, so you don't have to, because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of annoying work that you may not want to do, but you may just want to podcast. Like you just want to be able to podcast. So I'm
Some
like,
people
here's
just want to show
everything.
up. Like even I
Yeah,
want that. I
show up.
want
Yeah,
where I don't even want to look. I don't even want to look for the guests. I want
yeah,
you to understand how I think. Find the guest. Uh, do everything. I just want to show up. Tell me what time to be there, and I
yeah.
just show up.
But I can, with everything I set up, I set
Mhm.
it all up for you, and I go, look, you want guests? I need you to help first before we can get you guests. I need you to reach out to 10 people that you want to talk to, because usually my clients, they're wealthy or they have access to people that will be willing. And then boom, I'm like, give them this link. The link is the guest intake form, which leads them to the, the scheduling period where they schedule it, and then they fill out the form, gives me all the information I need to
It's
create the
done.
templates. It's
It's
done
done.
for you. You just copy paste, copy paste. You can pay someone someone on Fiverr to do it, or even find a virtual assistant to do it, and they go copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Boom, everything's there. It's cost you maybe $2, $3 more, a month for them to do it,
Mhm.
and then it rolls out, and it's. And I just found something awesome. Zapier, amazing. It connects with one of my hosting platforms that I use, and I can do everything I need by just dropping the audio in a folder on Google, and then Google just goes to Zapier. Zapier goes,
Mhm.
sends it all out, and then I never have to touch anything afterwards.
Mhm. Right.
And it's like,
That's the thing. It's about you learn as you go along.
yeah.
What is going to make your job easier, and that's a beautiful space to be in.
Oh,
Um,
also my other things, because I have two packages. I have the done for you, and then the done with you. The done with you is I give you the video. I give you the, like, this is what you need to do, and this is the timestamps you
mhm,
should do it at, and then we meet once a week, and that's
mhm,
$1,500.
mhm,
And it's for a month, and it's like once a week we meet, and I go, okay, where are we standing? Okay, you need help doing what? You don't know how to do that? Fine, okay, I'll do it for you. Just get it, and I'll record it for you, so that you know how to do it. Both packages come with recordings, so that you know exactly what you need to do,
mhm.
so that if ever you want to start a second one, third one, fourth one, you already have the data there, and you don't have to pay extra. So like that, the reason why I charge somewhat so much is because you get this invaluable walkthrough on how to build your own podcast
Look,
afterwards.
it's you're providing value, and
Yeah.
that's the price of it. And it's going to the whole point of the exchange of money is to make somebody's job easier
Mhm.
by them sharing you with you the funds. You have time to do what you need to do. But before we conclude, because I kind of want to keep it within the hour, sort of. But I saw something you shared online, and I was like, "Holy
Uh-oh.
crap! I would have never known. I would have never known." You're
Okay,
like,
so
"Uh
it's
oh,
good.
yeah." No, it's
It's
good.
good
It's
stuff.
progress because that's what this show is really about. It's how did you learn to do what you're doing? Tell me about the battles you're going through or went through, so that somebody else can be like, "Wow, if Phil could do it, I could do it." You know what I mean?
This is definitely
So,
true. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me on that. Um, I am the least. For some reason, I keep telling myself that I'm the least capable person, but apparently, I keep
this
proving
is the
myself wrong.
thing. Let me tell
Yeah,
you, Phil,
self
you're in
confidence, people.
you're in the space where I have to even fight that even as a joke, like we got to be careful how we speak about ourselves because we start to operate out of that frequency. And just like you said, like the brain is a very, very powerful thing. So I love that you shared this because it showed a little bit of vulnerability from you. It was your weight loss journey.
Oh
Like
yes.
I didn't know that you went through that. So can you share a little bit about like
All right.
how you
So,
got to this point and why you decided to make that change? Like what is that about?
um, so for, I was in a 7-year toxic relationship.
Mm,
And sorry, it wasn't all toxic. It was the last like maybe 2 to 3 years were toxic. It was
mm,
7 years. I have no evil intent towards the girl. She's amazing. I'm hoping to have her on my podcast that we talked about earlier.
mm,
That's staying under the radar because it's interesting. But we ended the relationship. I was in a horrible place. I was eating my feelings. That's a big thing I have is I eat my feelings.
Mm.
And that's why I don't have chips or ice cream around my place, because
Mm.
they'd be gone within 20 minutes. So I ended up ending 2019 the heaviest I've ever been in my adult life, at 300 pounds. And I'd been gaining weight through the relationship, and I always kept telling myself, when I reach this goal, if I reach this weight, I'll start working out. If I and then it never happened because I didn't have that drive. And then the breakup happened. Then I just got into a dark place. I was in a horrible place, and I'm like, I don't have a relationship, so I'm going to throw myself into work, which is never a smart idea.
I've done that.
Go into work, and I just end up being miserable and angry and pissed off even more, and just get dark and dark and dark and dark. And then I burnt out. And my family was like, something needs to change. So I go to a doctor. The burnout happened in November over Christmas ornaments, of all things. Christmas freaking ornament. It was stupid, really stupid, but it needed to happen. Kind of like it was the straw that broke the camel's back, pretty much. In December, I go to a doctor, the family doctor. He's like, yeah, let's do the checkup. I haven't done a checkup in years. He does the checkup. He sends me for blood works. I'm 300 pounds. I have potential kidney stones from the exam, and then he puts me on antidepressants. Doesn't help. I burn out. At the burnout, I was lucky enough to get a therapist, but I was like, you know what? I had been doing intermittent fasting, and it was kind of working, but at the same time, it wasn't doing enough. So I was like, screw it. I'm doing hardcore shit. I'm going hard. And we're going to go over the hour, and I apologize.
That's all right. This is important because I want people to know about you.
The struggle. Yeah. So starting January 2020, still on the pills. February, I officially go on medical burnout, and I get a therapist, and I do weekly therapy sessions. Pretty much most of 2020. Then we go into bi-week, like twice a month, or like instead of weekly, it's like every other week. And then we went into monthly, and now it's only on need, which I'm very happy. But my therapist was amazing, and therapy period.
Yes.
Do it.
Yes.
If your company gives you access to it, take it, because
do it.
And be honest. Like, they're not there to judge you. They care about you, but they also don't give a flying fuck about you. You're a client. Their job is to make sure you're happy at the end, or you solve your issue or anything. And so if you're not honest with them,
it's not going to work for you.
It's not going to work for you.
Right.
So doing that, I cleared up a lot of stuff, became healthy, and I started walking because our office was far from me. And I was like, well, I might as well walk. So it's like a good 30-minute walk. Well, no, I did. I took the bus there because I was lazy and I didn't want to be sweaty when I showed up, because that's an hour of just like staying in your sweat. But afterwards, I would walk home, and it was about a good hour walk. And I was exhausted when I got home, but I also felt good. It was weird.
Yeah.
And so I would do that once a week. And then I was like, you know what? I go pick up, I was smoking marijuana heavily because it was the only thing that would just give me peace, just like relax, stop my brain.
Yeah, it numbed it a little bit.
It numbed the world, that's why alcohol was way too expensive and I didn't want to damage my liver. I'm like, weed is legal and it's healthy and there's like benefits and shit, and it helps the creativity. And the weed store is only 30 minutes from my place by walking. It's just pretty much up the street. It's really weird. So, but there's a hill. And I'm like, I am too fat to walk up that hill. Screw that. So I would take the bus, buy my weed, walk home. And I would do that not daily, but it like every couple of days I would do that on top of the walk home for my therapist. And I started feeling a bit more energetic. And I'm like, oh, cool. This is cool. And then I would walk more. I would do a small 15-minute walk to a Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is like a Starbucks. Okay. That's not too far from me. So it's 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back. That's a 30-minute walk. So I started doing that. And then all of a sudden this year, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk to the weed store one day. I was just like, I'm going to walk to the weed store. And I just walked all the way up a hill to the weed store, and I'm drenched in sweat already. Because you figure, like, I'm about 285 at that point, still a hefty guy going up a hill who doesn't have the best cardio. Get to the weed store, come back, and I just like collapse. And I'm like, I still feel good. And I used to work out, and I used to love working out, but I needed a partner, an accountability partner. But walking, it's like, well, I need to go get weed. Might as well walk.
Yeah.
I have a reason to walk now.
Purpose,
right? And then I started intermittent fasting more regularly, only eating at noon and at 8:30. Those were my periods that I'm allowed to eat. The rest of the day I didn't eat. And I'd snack between them, obviously, but healthy snacks, grapes and nuts and stuff like that. Because diets never worked for me. And just the walking, and I dropped to 200 pounds.
Wow.
Sorry, 220. I'm not 200 yet. My goal is 200, but I'm down 80 pounds.
Wow.
Since 2019.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
I also lost my hobo beard, or my Amish beard, if you will. Some of my previous pictures, like, it was a straggly beard, and it was like, oh. But I liked it because I was like, ooh, it's a beard. But now I'm like, okay, maybe this close shaven, it does shape my face a little better. I'll let it grow a bit longer. It won't get too long, but yeah, you just take that first step. The first step is the scariest step of life, but that first step also can change your life. Like, if I didn't burn out, I'd probably have committed suicide because I was just done with the life. And I was like, I'm done. But then it's like, I look at my brother, and like I have nothing against people who commit suicide. I wish they wouldn't, obviously, but it happens. And I look, the one thing that's really stopped me from committing suicide was my nephew, who I'm also the godfather of, and he's adorable and I love him, and my brother. My brother lives with paranoid schizophrenia for the last, I think, 15 years now. And I'm like one of his safety blankets. So when he's not doing good, my phone will ring and I answer. I don't care. If unless I'm in the minute of a podcast or a client, then I just text him, I'll call you back. But I knew that if I had committed suicide, it would have devastated him, and that would have destroyed. It would have hurt me. Like, just thinking about it hurts me. So it's like, I can't do that. I can't bring pain onto my brothers and my brother, my sister, my aunts, my uncles, all these people. Why am I bringing pain? I'm supposed to be bringing joy. My name is Phil Better. It feel better. Like, come on, people,
Wow.
So yeah. So I just decided just take the first step. Whatever you're so scared of in life, the opposite is even worse. Inaction is the worst thing you can do to yourself, because you're robbing yourself of a potential golden future. Like, I know where I want to go.
Yeah.
But I could all of a sudden pivot and be going this way instead. And I'm not going to say no to that. There's been so many opportunities dropped into my lap because I just said yes. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But it's not the same thing. Like, in October, I'm going to France.
Amazing.
For a media event. Like, holy shit, who is this guy from Montreal? Like, I constantly pinch myself going, this guy in Montreal who doesn't really have a huge social media following is interviewing these millionaires, these successful entrepreneurs, these professors. I interviewed 2 professors, of all things, professors. Who would have thought,
Awesome.
And now I got it. Like, every single thing I do, I'm pinching myself because I have a hard time believing that I did this. It's not someone getting this and giving it to me. No, I had to kick down doors. I had to go out and get it and believe in myself and be like, I can do it. And then afterwards going, holy shit, I did it.
Like, it happened. And they said yes. What?
Like, every day a client, when I get a message from a client, like, yeah, we're interested. What's your price points? This and that. I'm like, this, that, that. And then they're like, okay, yeah, sure. And I'm like,
what?
Fuck.
Yeah.
I actually have to do this shit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And you learn on the fly, but they don't know how bad or how good it is because they've never done it.
Right.
And then you just get better and better as you do it,
Yeah.
right? And they're just like, wow, it's really improving. This is amazing. You're like, yeah, I know. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like I just launched my first email list. I've never had an email list before.
Nice.
I just launched it. We're already at like 59 subscribers. I'm like, holy shit, in 2 days we got 59 subscribers, eh?
Yeah.
To other people, they're going to be like, well, I got 59 in the first 2 minutes. I'm like, yeah, well, you have an audience of 84,000. Of course you do.
Right.
But for me, it's like, that's a major accomplishment. I'm like, okay, now how do I replicate that without having an audience already of 50,000 people? Because it's for my client who hasn't monetized their group yet. And we're in the process of monetizing it. And there's some exciting things coming up. But now I'm like, okay, now let's make some other email lists for my other podcasts and just have them. They don't have to grow. They don't have to be ready. They just need to be there and ready to go when I need to launch them. And I'm finding like, okay, I have this skill now. I know how to build an email list. I make the automation. I'm getting better at it. There's courses online, of course, I can learn from. YouTube is your best friend, but you can pay. So every single thing you're doing is you're learning it so that other people don't need to learn it and they can rely on you.
Exactly.
And you just build that repertoire. Soon, like the digital marketing, it's email, it's chatbot, it's, social media posting, setting up your social media accounts, getting everything ready for you. That's what my digital marketing is. And I'm going to be launching a company on digital marketing because hell, I can do it now. I have my podcasting business. Every skill you have in your life is a monetizable skill.
Exactly. Yep.
You just need to believe in yourself enough that someone's willing to pay. Like just Google search one of your skills. If you Google search podcast production, you'll find someone. If you're good at writing, go to Medium and get paid to write. I need to get on that, by the way.
Actually,
I keep telling myself. I sent you like dozens of things on writing.
Yeah, you sent me some stuff that I have to look at it. It's just, you know how it is.
That's the biggest thing with entrepreneurs. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this. But then you get pulled away because creative magic, and you're like, oh, that's pretty. That's not learning. No one wants to learn. Learning is difficult. Why can't you download it? But there are so many different platforms and things that you can start now that can grow into your business. Like I started podcasting and doing podcast production while I was still working at my 9-to-5. It's only recently that I left my 9-to-5 to pursue this full time. And that was the scariest moment. Well, it was the kind of most fulfilling moment, but also the scariest moment.
Yep, same.
When I quit, I was like, yeah, boy. And then the next day I was like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was me. Actually, the whole
self-doubt just came smashing in because
I was crying when I left. I was just in tears and I kept on asking myself, am I doing this? Am I really doing this? Because I've never done that before. I've never walked out. I've never done that. And I had to realize that it wasn't necessarily the place that I was working per se that was the issue. It was that I was there. But it was a blessing that I was there because I learned skills that I didn't have before. So I'm grateful for the experience. But I went against something that I said I wasn't going to do. I told myself that I had a time limit and I went against it.
I had a time limit too.
You had that too? Yeah, I had a time limit and I went beyond that. And
I didn't go beyond it. I went before it. I jumped the gun.
You went before it. Oh, tell me about what you did. Yeah.
So I set up a goal last year when I started. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this my business. As soon as I find out how to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So I was like, fuck it. By my 36th birthday, which is this year, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and have my own business. And I'm like, I'm going to save this amount of money. I'm going to do all this, get 3 clients. And I'm like, and then I have a situation at my job that I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I keep forgetting because I've been doing podcasts. I don't know. I can't remember which podcast allows me to swear. So I'm like,
this one you can. Even though
I know, but like sometimes I forget. So I'm like,
oh, you're like
F-bomb. And then I'm like, wait, no, I can say fuck. I said F them. And then, no, I can say fuck. So a situation arrived between me and my direct manager. And she insulted me. Then I had a meeting with her and her manager. So the department head,
Mm-hmm.
and they did not acknowledge the fact that I felt insulted. Now, the situation was actually regarding podcasting. Because when I got hired in them, I'm like, look, I do podcasting for a living, this is what I do. And it was a lateral move pretty much in the company I was. I went from client facing to not client. Well, client facing, I was I worked in a call center. So not really calls facing the client, but I had to deal with clients, to working behind the scenes, working with the branches and call center employees. And I was in training and I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm like, are you like trying to figure out like different ways? Because I've been talking to these titans of industries that are changing industries, disrupting industries and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, why are we doing it like this? Like, this is a much faster and better way. Like, I just solved you like $50 million. But you can't be talking like that. We're learning to train and this is what we're doing. And I'm like, okay. I got in trouble and I'm like, okay, I apologize. I had a mini meeting with manager and I was like, I apologize. And then in this group chat, we were using like Teams or something like that. They released a podcast. They said, but they spelled podcast pod space cast.
Yeah, it's not spelled that way.
It's not. And so I was like, hey, looking forward to listening. Just let you know, podcast is one word. Simple like that. My manager comes in and says, thanks to the guy. And also thank you to the grammar police.
Oh,
and I'm
little stab.
Yeah, just like, are you effing fucking kidding
like
me?
I'm
right?
Trying to help.
I'm like, so I replied to it. I literally was like, you know what? Fuck this. I shouldn't have. Hindsight 2020. But I was just like, no, I am not taking this. I have this new confidence, this bravado, So I go into it and I'm like, I've been in the industry for 6 years. I have a passion for this industry. I've been talking to titans of industry. Just like I share proper knowledge with my colleagues for when I'm working, I have respect and admiration for the industry that I'm in. And I like to make sure that people are correct. She sends me a private message. Seriously?
Oh my
God. I'm like, well, you insulted me. I was just defending myself. She's like, call me. I'm like, all right. So I call her and whole conversation happens. And I'm like, okay, I understand. She's like, I don't think you really do.
Oh, and I'm like, man, this is like constant door slammer. It's like this. It's not settling down. It's just getting higher.
And it's like I'm biting my tongue because I have an explosive temper that I control, and sometimes it's like little triggers will set it off.
Everybody has their Hulk side.
My Hulk side's bad sometimes because it doesn't. All filters just drop, and then this demon comes out and goes all anger for my whole life. The anger you push down, that just comes out.
Oh, I have that
like,
too.
Oh, people pleasers. You never want to piss us off.
But
because I read so much, and my father's a guy who taught me how to debate and argue, that just comes really quickly to me, and I can eviscerate you with words, in essence, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm like, I do understand. And I'm like I'm trying to keep a neutral tone. And I think the reason I kept the neutral tone is the reason she said, I don't think you understand. I'm like, you don't understand that if I don't have this neutral tone, it's going to be a very different conversation. And I'm trying to inflect that into the voice, but it's not coming through because she wasn't smart enough to catch it. And I'm like, you're right. I'm going to do my best to be better. Like I took it, she kicked. I was like, okay, thank you. Can I have another? And then I was like, you know what? It wasn't even the end of the day. I'm like, fuck it. I'm taking the rest of the day off. Don't tell anybody. I just sit down, and then I got a call from the head of the department going, where are you? I'm like, I had an issue with one of your managers. I didn't want to pass on to the clients. I should have told everybody. I'm sorry. She's like, okay, we'll have a meeting this week. Cool. Go to the meeting. We start. She's like, Phil, would you like to explain your side? I'm like, sure. So I literally, right, exactly what happened. I even apologized to the other, the guy that I corrected, because I'm like, I should have said this to you personally. I shouldn't have put it in an open form. I'm sorry. It's just something I'm very passionate about. He's like, no problem. Just like in the future, let's do it this way. I'm like, cool, no problem.
It should have ended
in the
there.
meeting. Like this guy was cool. He was like, yeah, cool, no problem. Everybody makes mistakes. Cool. We jump into this meeting with the department head the department head and my manager. And she's like, Phil, I want you to tell us what happened. So I told her what happened. I'm like, da 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 da. She's like, okay. well, you know, in training, you've been doing this, you've been doing that, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, you know what, ladies, I don't think this is going to be a good fit. Thank you so much, but I quit. And I just ended the call right there, closed the things down, bop, bop, bop. Thank you very much. Emailed them the next day going, or actually later in the day, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back. Please send me all the information that I need to send back your equipment so that I don't have it anymore and we don't have to deal with this. Thank you. Goodbye.
Wow.
Then I get a call the next day. So there was the talk happened on a Thursday. The Friday, I get a call again. She's like, the department head's like, hi, Philip. I'm like, hi. She's like, I'm just calling because you kind of quit abruptly and we want to make sure that you're sure. I'm like, did you get my email?
Oh, I'm so sure. Like, I am
she's like,
so
yes.
sure.
I'm like, then you know that it's for real. And she's like, okay. Then I get a call from a couple of weeks later. I get like a week later, I got a call from the guy who the system admins dude or the computer people. I don't know. We're sending it on this date. Please make sure everything's packed and in the boxes. Everything's in the box. Everything's packed. I don't have any tape, so all I have is painter tape. So I'm here just closing a box with green painter tape, praying to any deity in the world that it doesn't open up. Luckily,
oh my God.
UPS comes. He looks at it. He's like, I know the people in the back. We'll get this taped up. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much, sir. Plus, he has a
I would
contract.
have wrapped it in a pillowcase, but I need it.
I don't know how long I have, so I want to keep everything in case I need some warmth. But yeah, so that's the story of me quitting a major financial institution.
Oh my God. That's amazing. I mean, I think, you know, for people like us, we get to a point where we're just like, this is the last time. This is the last time, because it's like a buildup, because we're so nice. We're so nice. We're like, oh, we're the sorry people. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
no worries. I got this. I'll take care of it. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Even if it's not my job, I got you.
Because I'm like that too. I've always been the person where, like, for me, it was a buildup too. It's like, I keep saying, you know what it was for me? I felt like I was speaking a different language from the other people I was working with. And I'm like, how am I going to get it across that this is the better way to do it? Like, I understand we need to do this way, but it's just what I'm saying. Like, this is the same thing I had, where it was like, there's a better way. Teach it. Okay, so I had the opportunity to teach it. Gratefully so. Like, the opportunity that I got, I was grateful that I had the ability to teach it. But this can't work if it's just me. It has to be across the board. Because what ends up happening is, if it's not across the board, it looks inauthentic, or I hope that's the right word, inauthentic. And that's what I didn't want to be shown, because what I was trying to show is that there is a disconnect between management and the people in the call center, because if we're not speaking the same language, everything I speak looks like a lie. How am I supposed to have somebody put out this energy on the phone of care and concern if we are not showing it to our employees as well? We're showing it, but we're not showing it in a way where it's coming off. Because this is what I was trying.
This is what they're showing you. They're showing you like, yay, you made us $7 billion. Like, so I work for a bank. We make money. Yay, you guys did so great. Here, have a slice of pizza. That's the thanks you get. And it's like, are you effing kidding me? I'm looking at the bonuses that these freaking CEOs are making, and my bonus isn't even fucking guaranteed. And you're giving me a slice of fucking pizza?
This is a good point that you're making, because this is what I wanted to piggyback off of. When you have a business, I understand that you can't go over and shake everybody's hand, because that's maybe not the type of person you are, but there are different ways to show appreciation. There's different ways to do that. And that's what I was trying to share, you know? And if we're all on I'm not saying you got to do it like me, but operate out of a similar frequency, and we could all push this bus forward, because I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone with someone, and I was like, do you need anything from me? Because I'm like, look, okay, this has to look a certain way, but it's not looking a certain way. I'm not comfortable doing it that way, because it's not going to carry the same oomph. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't need anything. I was like, got it. I just realized the communication between certain people was starting to change. And I was like, I don't feel like me, I'm a purpose driven person. I'm looking 6 years down the line. I'm
Yeah.
looking for legacy. If it has no legacy, let me see myself out. That's literally how I feel about things. And at that, with that conversation, I was just like, you know what? This is always going to be this because that's what's working. So maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. And it's not that I'm the problem. It's that the way I want to do it can't happen
You're
because
school.
you
You're
guys
a
have the system already. I can't change the system. I'll see myself out. Yo, literally, I broke down, Phil. I broke down and I was like, I kept on saying, I was looking at my other coworkers and they're like, yo, Stacey, don't go. Like, don't go. And I'm like, in my head,
they
I'm
don't
like, I
want you
can't.
to go because if you go, they're actually going to have to step up work or they're going to get this uncool person to work with. And they're like, we don't want to lose the cool Stacy. But also at the same time, like, I get you. You want to leave that legacy. You want to have that legacy. What it is you, since you were started interacting with these people who think differently, it started changing your mind. And so when you see a problem, you're like, this is a solution that can fix this problem. And other people are like, that's not a problem though. I'm like, but yet in 5 years it will be.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like I'm already thinking there. I'm already ahead.
You're like Gary Vee. You're thinking at the micro and the macro level.
Yeah.
And people don't. People only look at what's right in front of them.
And I'm like,
right now,
we need to be 14 steps ahead. We need to be 14 steps ahead, not like, oh, it's just operating the now. I understand that that's a beautiful space to be in, but sometimes in the now, there's something that is showing up. It's showing up. And let me tell you, because what I did was quality assurance. I'm listening to phone calls all day. I see the pattern.
Yeah.
You don't see the pattern because all you're looking at is numbers. And I get it. But this is the thing, we need to work together. We need to work together. And that's where the issue lied. And I'm like, for me to operate, I need to be at all cylinders because I like to bring a certain type of energy.
Yeah.
If you beat me down and you speak to me a certain way, that's just the type of person I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it's
just not
I
going
think
to work.
the biggest problem is in corporations is they're too big. They lost, like, if you look at the small company, like we work with Maria on different things, and in her business, she's small enough that she's able to, jump around and be able to fix and pivot and go with it because she knows she trusts her employees or trusts her contractors because she goes for the best. But when you're in a big corporation, it's like, well, no, we've been doing business this way for the last 500 years. This is the only way we do business.
I've always done it this way. Why change it?
It's like, shit is changing. Like, if COVID didn't show us that, like, in a drop of a hat, things can change. And if you're not ready for it, you got to be thinking 15 years down the line instead of this thinking about next quarter's dividends. I have to share this, and it pisses me off because as an employee, as a client, and as a shareholder in this company that I work for, every time we made a change to their profile, we would have to send them a new debit card in the mail. So that's paying someone to create the debit card, paying to have it shipped out, then paying for it to be activated because they have to call in to activate it, and that costs us money, right? Because we have to pay for the line. Every single time they did there was a change of either language, adding an email, or anything like that, the client would get a new debit card. So as an employee, that pisses me off because I'm going to get calls from people going, why did I get a new debit card? And it's like, they didn't tell you. Or as most clients, they don't listen when you tell them. As an employee, as a client, it's annoying because why am I getting a new debit card? I have to, a new debit card, fuck. I have to deal with that, update all my stuff that I need to. But as a shareholder, I'm losing money. And this is how I was coming at this problem. Like, why are we doing it like this? Can't we fix this? No, there's no way to fix it. I'm like, bullshit. There's always a way to fix it.
There's always a way to fix it. It may not be around yet, but let's create it.
We can create a workaround. Our department is supposed to be that. And so it was like, that's like, they're so concerned and so focused on their numbers that they don't see outside how things can set. Yes, right now it's going to be a major cost. Let's say $1 million to fix this problem. But let's look over the next 10 years. How much is it going to cost to this problem cost us? Is it going to be more or less than $1 million? It's more than $1 million. They made $7 billion 1 year. You can take $1 million, fix the problem, and you're good. But big companies forget how cheap stuff is now, because when they brought it in, it was super expensive. Now I can host a full website, a full business on Google, and it costs me like what does Google business cost? Like $5, something like that a year or something. You buy yourself a Google.
Something. You share something new to me now.
Buy a Google product, you get it for a year for free. You know, and it's like you don't understand. Like, shit is cheap now. You can find things on the internet for cheap. If I can find someone to do something for me for cheap, you can definitely find someone at a more reasonable price point to do it. But they don't want to, because they have to answer to their shareholders, and they show, why did you spend $1 million? I'd be me as a shareholder. I'd be like, motherfucker, do you know how this business runs? We just saved $10 million over the long run, or we saved $1 million over the next 3 years by spending that $1 million now. That means you get $2 million and more dollars.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that's the thing. Like, because people think differently, they're not looking at it the way, say, like you and I would look at it. And I understand that. I respect it.
The entrepreneur way. That's how.
I understand that. But that's when I was like, you know what? Why am I doing this here? Like, why am I still here? Around? I'm like, this is not anybody's fault but mine. You know, I stayed. I broke down, so but then, thank you, Phil, and I'm proud of you too, man. It's like we're like champions right now. So
yeah.
You know, that's what's really about, I want to start to kind of conclude, but it's about believing in yourself. And even if you don't 100% believe, still act on it and see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't, but at least you have the awareness of like, I tried. And then guess what? You might even develop some confidence to try something else. You know what I mean? And you just keep going. And that's why I kind of highlighted that book, because it's like, I even tried to take out of my language saying, oh, I should have known, or obviously, like, it's not like, I really didn't know, or I have some information, but I don't have all the facts. You know what I mean? It's like, just still operating that way and being okay with operating that way. And I think that's what stops a lot of us, because just like you said, the brain loves
patterns.
Doing this, patterns. And that's exactly what it is. So it's hard to kind of make that shift, but it starts with a step. Just like you said.
Just kick down that door, do something exciting. Take those 10 seconds, like we were joking about my dating life earlier off air, but take that 10 seconds and just go talk to that cute person. What's the worst that can happen? They'll say, sorry, I have a boyfriend, or I have a girlfriend. Okay. That's nice.
Nice talking with you.
Have a nice day.
Listen to my podcast.
Yeah, listen to. Do you like podcasts? Yes, I have a dating podcast. Would you like to listen to it? I shouldn't have said that, but anyways, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what it is. Just take that. The first step is the scariest step, but also it's the most rewarding step, because you've just changed your life somehow, either for the better, and hopefully not for the worst.
Yeah.
But more likely for the better, because if you're doing something that's outside your comfort zone, if you're trying to make yourself a better person, then like Drake says, or one of the songs says, all the way to the top.
Yes.
I don't know.
All the way up.
All the way up.
You're
going all the way to the top, all the way up.
That Remy
because I don't know who sings it.
All the way up.
And we're going all the way up.
I'm not really good at quoting hip hop
songs.
Just hip hop.
But this is it. You just go for it. There's nothing there's 100 years in your life. That's how I look at life, as 100 years, because it's so regular now that you're hearing someone, this person lived to 125. It's like, okay, now the goal is 100. I'm in my 30s. I'm only in my second quarter. I until I hit 50, I'm not even at halftime yet.
Yeah.
Like, I got time. Like, the first half was my trial period.
Yeah.
till 20, from 0 to 25 was your trial period, and then you get kicked out and you're like, all right, it's the real world. And now I'm like, you know what, 10 years later, I'm like, I had enough of working in the real world. I want my own stuff, and the internet has made it possible. Boom. I want to be a billionaire by 40. That's my goal. I have 4 years to do it.
4 years.
I can do it.
You can. Look, and that's
the hardest thing is making your first $1 million. After that, it's easy.
You know what? I think, did I highlight that? I was listening to Eric Thomas, and he said it's easy to make money. Like, when you really think about it, it is easy to make money. I have this. Do you want it? Yes or no? Somebody says no. All right. I have this. Do you want it? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. You know what I mean?
But also, it also is developing. Like, every time you talk to someone, like, hey, do you want free coaching? Yes. Okay, cool. So that free coaching works. Now, how do I segue that into getting them to pay me to coach? Hey, I charge X amount. That's too much. Okay. Are you the right character for me? Yes or no? Moving on. And you just develop a better copy. Like, this is what you do as an entrepreneur selling services. You need to know. If you already know how to sell stuff, you're great. I talk really fast. I just noticed.
Yeah, but it's clear. So maybe you should, like, because there's this guy, he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for, like, speaking the fastest, and he actually, like, practiced it. And he could speak, like, I forget how many words per minute, but if you already speak fast and you actually practice that, maybe you could see if you could break the world record, and then you could be a world record holder. And that's something to tell ladies.
You know what's really hilarious that you're bringing up world records? It's on my bucket list.
Really? Get out.
So I watch I spend too much time on YouTube. There's a YouTuber called that goes by the name Jack Sucks at Life. That Jack Sucks at Life is his YouTube channel. He has like 8 YouTube channels that he runs himself. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most YouTube channels over 100,000 with only one person in it, pretty much, or like prominently one person. And I'm like,
dude, there's a world record for anything. Like, you just have to, like, make it.
Pretty much, you pay the fee, and then you get it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking get it for podcasts.
Yeah, like my friend's brother, he is a world record holder for, I forget, I don't know if it's deadlifts, or he's like crazy strong. So I forgot what type of lifting he did and the weight it was, and he's a world record holder. Like, that's it. Like, you just gotta like
find it and
go for it. And I think that's kind of the consensus of this whole podcast. It's that there's going to be some moments in life that it's going to sound like it's a stop, like, don't do it. But you have to have the courage, or there's going to be that one thing, whether it's belief in yourself, your brother or nephew or whoever or whatever it is. And that one thing, if it's pulling you out, listen to it and just go for it. Because do you know what's going to happen in 6 months? Not necessarily. But if you can say that you want 6 months because of this, then do it. Take the risk.
There's nothing to it. Like, start something as a side hustle. If it works out, great. If it makes more, when it makes more money than your actual job, quit your actual job, go your side hustle. Don't do like me and just quit right away without a safety net.
I mean, probably you can, not the one, but it's probably not a good idea. Like I did. I was just like, adios.
Oh crap! Now what do I do?
I was like, oh, there's zero income right now.
Yeah, if you don't have income coming in, let me tell you, stress gets really quick.
Yeah,
but having that
full depression, dude.
Yeah, I just got out of my full depression. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
But you just have to force yourself to power through. Keep the power of positivity is friggin' true. It works. Have one, like my nephew is my golden guy. Whenever I'm feeling down, I send a text to my sister. I'm like, I need to pick me up. I'll get a FaceTime from him, and he won't even talk to me. I'll be watching him play toys, and I'll be like, yes, aww, I'm very happy. Or he'll take the phone and just start walking around, and he speaks, but he blabbles as well.
Right.
He's 3.
How old is he?
He's amazing.
Oh, he's 3. Okay.
So some of my favorite moments, like he's my background on my phone because I love him so much. I'll leave with this story, and then we'll end the podcast because we're already 90 minutes in.
Yeah.
Jesus. This is the problem when you don't tell me like we're stopping now. I'll just go for 8 hours.
You were going to a certain part. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be a highlight clip. That's gonna be a highlight. I'm like, keep talking, Phil. Okay, go ahead.
Just highlight after highlight after highlight. The whole episode's a highlight reel. So we're at I think it was my aunt's birthday. No, it wasn't my aunt's birthday. It was my brother's birthday. We're at my sister's place because my parents downsized to a condo and it's too stuffy. So we're at my sister's place. I'm sitting down. I just spent pretty much 3 hours playing with this child. I don't even know what we were playing, but we were playing. I was having the greatest time of my life. His imagination is amazing. Sitting down, watching. My brother's in front of me. I'm in a chair. My brother-in-law is over here. My sister somewhere. Everything, and then my nephew is between my brother and my brother-in-law. And so my brother-in-law goes to pick him up and sit him next to him, right? Which he normally does. Goes, no, move legs. No, moves his leg, comes walking straight up to me and goes like this, like just puts his hands up, and I'm like, oh my God, don't cry, Phil. Don't cry. Don't cry. Just pick him up, put him on my lip. And I'm like, holy shit, holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Like I was in like you know when you see a deer when you're like out camping and there's a deer and you just stop because you're like, I don't want to ruin this perfect fucking moment.
Yeah.
Because this is like purest life will ever be for me. And then you stupidly move and the deer runs off. So I'm like sitting there holding him like, shh, you have to, okay. Watching him and he's like, tickle, tickle, you know, in between the stuff, you know, having fun with him. And then he gets down and I'm like, okay. The moment's ruined. Then he goes and then comes back and I'm like, yay! So much fun. And so find the one thing in your life that brings you joy.
Yeah.
If it's,
you're making me tear up a little bit.
I'm sweating up, so it's fine.
All right, cool.
It's sweat. You're sweating. It's not tears. It's
I'm
sweat. Your eyeballs are sweating.
Eyes.
There you go. You're sweating from your eyeballs. There we go.
Yeah.
But find one thing that can find you joy, that just no matter what, whenever you look at it, whenever you talk with the person, hug them, be with them, just it clears everything away.
Yes.
And whenever you feel overwhelmed, you feel down, you feel anything negative, go back to that happiness and just enjoy the joy that's there and let it wipe away all the other things, because those shit's going to be there tomorrow. All the issues are going to be there tomorrow, but you need that refuel, because if you're feeling overwhelmed, you need the refuel yourself. Take that moment to just recharge the batteries as much as it needs to be and go back to, and then you'll be like, what was I worried about this thing yesterday or before, 20 minutes or 30 minutes before? It's nothing. Clack, clack, clack. It's done.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to have that positive. And until your business can create that positive impact for you, find something else out. If it's playing the guitar, if it's seeing your nephew, seeing your niece, you know, writing, going for a walk, you know, sunbathing, whatever it is, find that peaceful moment that you can have, that everything just disappears, and just enjoy that moment.
Yes, I think that's a beautiful way to end.
I wanted to do something really, whenever I do something really sentimental, really heavy, I have to throw in a joke because I'm like, it's so awkward. I'm not used to being this serious. So I was like, and that's your daily lesson from Feel Better, you know? But I'm like, oh, should I not? Oh, I don't know. That's my problem.
Makes you comfortable, man. Like,
but here's the thing, like I'm doing this like huge, like serious moment. And like, it could be even like a monologue in a movie, and everybody's like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's genius writing. Yeah. Oh my God. And then you just ruin it with, and that's your daily talk from Feel Better. Like, and it's like, you know what?
Buy these peanuts. If you want to feel like this, these peanuts are on sale this week for 99 cents.
If you want to be, you know, you're throwing an ad and you're like, you just cheapen that whole moment.
No, it's all good. That. Like I get where you're at. That's what I'm saying. We have a lot of similarities, because I'm just like, okay, so let's laugh now. Like, okay, right? Like
shit is getting way too serious. We need to relax a little. So I'm gonna do something stupid. That's what I've been like since from 18 below or younger. I was very serious. I was like, life is like this. You know, because I was emulating my father, who was a very serious man. Then I got my first job at 18. shit went downhill quick. I stopped being serious. I started being a goofball because I found out that silliness is actually a lot more fun than being serious all the time. And I think we're seeing a shift in that with like the older generations going, ew, we're leaving. I'm ending the art. No, I'm no more golden nuggets. I'm done.
No, you're right. Look, all this means, Phil, is that you got to come back on. That's it. You gotta come
You're
back
coming on
on.
season 5, by the way.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful. You know, I'm grateful. I love conversation. I think you've been a blast. I learned a lot from you today.
I don't know what I taught you, but okay.
I learned from you. No, but you know, that's why I love conversation, because you know, you never know what somebody can share with you. And I just learned, like, you know, you kind of went through similar moments in life that I did as well. And I'm just grateful that there's this, you know, thing that we can use to connect, because I would have never met you without the internet. You know what I mean? And we're able to share this and share information. So this has been an absolute blessing. Where can we find you on social media?
So the best place to find me is on Instagram. It's at podcaster Phil Better. If you are a podcaster and you're listening to this, this is a piece of advice. I'm going to leave you with another golden nugget, because I apparently left you with so many before.
42.
42.
I'm
cool.
Kidding.
I wouldn't be surprised. 42 is a great number. It's the answer to the universe and everything else in it. Douglas Adams, let's go. If you're going to be on a podcast, have one call to action. Don't give them 94 places they can find you. Give them one place that you want them to find you. So for me, I like Instagram because it's all pretty stuff, but also because if I don't remember my other handles for my other social media. So it's like, you can find me on 2 places. If you want to listen to my podcast, investinyourselfpod.com. There. If you want to connect with me, go to podcaster Phil Better on Instagram. I'm trying to get that on all the other socials, but it's a little harder. But yeah, podcaster Phil Better on Instagram. I'll be more than happy. Send me a DM. I'll be more than happy to talk with you and share some knowledge and some freebies there. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Phil, for being on Price on Purpose. It's been a great conversation. And I'm already thinking about the next time I'm going to have you on too. So it's going to be awesome.
The pleasure was all mine, and I'm looking forward to the next time.
Likewise.
Hopefully I won't be as sweaty.
That's all right. Maybe we'll do it in the wintertime then. You being in like a giant hoodie.
Be in a giant parka.
Yeah.
Outside, snow just flowing everywhere.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to stop the